Chapter 2, Management and Analytical Approach. Purpose of the membership of September 8th in 2008, the Department of Defense Supportment Assessment Team was formalized, analyzed the product support and enterprise the activities, performance of the cost and outline actions to improve the lifecycle product support management. The team was also tasked to assess overall program-specific progress in capturing, managing, and improving the weapon system support and cost while maintaining the necessary readiness, levelness, and integration sustainment risk. The product support assessment team, the first year goal was to produce an informative, actionable report of the offensive Secretary of Defense, the military service, the defensive agencies, Congress specifically. For the report would document the current state of the product support of the Department of Defense enterprise, the specific product of the support related to topic, weapon system, and analysis areas where the product of the support would need and implement the recommendation, action, and the integrators, enablers necessary to improve the selected areas. The next generation of lifecycle product of support and the model will be integrated with the enabled improvements of finding of the recommendation, initial implementation plan. The designing of the performance product support assessment team structure greater care was taken to recognize the benefits of the diversity which represents the performance support assessment team working group members consisted with the representatives from the government, industry, academia, and illustrated and below. They have the Army, Air Force, Marine Corps as services, the academics of the DAU, Auburn, and University of Tennessee, while the cross of the DOD, DLA, Joint Use of over Secretary of Defense in the regions touching the industry of the AI and the NDI, OSD, and the Officer of Secretary of Defense again. A senior steer group chaired by the ADUSD, which I have no clue what that is. Guided with overall performance support assessment team process findings. The recommendation member of the SSG's Staff Sergeant General. No, that's about senior steering group is shown in Figure 5, considering flag level and the senior government official leader for the industrial academia. Senior steering group of the representative organization, United States of America, the Defense Acquisition Resource Analysis Unit, United States Navy, the Department of Director of Defense Procurement, Acquisition Policy and Strategic Sourcing, United States Air Force, Director of System Engineering, the Director and Defense Logistics Director, Portfolio System Acquisition, Vice Director of the Logistics Joint Staff, FJ4A and IA, Director of Force Structure Resource Assessment Joint Staff GNA, NDIA, use of DOD, Undersecretary of Defense Comptroller, ADUSD, MPP, or the Director of the Cost Cost of Assessment Program Eventuation, CAPE, or the ADSU SD, Mr. Chairman. Finally selected by the product support assessment team, the members along with the invited stakeholders, subject matters expertise for the product support community. Formed with the recommendation of the building teams according to the 8 priority recommendations. 8 are chosen by the performance support assessment team, the WG, and approved by the performance assessment team of the SSG. Senior steering group. The recommendation build teams reported the results they achieved and feedback with the WG. Thoroughly, the process teams maintained with the product goals, discipline with the encouragement, opening mindset, active listening, transparent, rational decision making, and equal opportunity with the influencing defense vision, agreement with the consensus with the dictate with the outcome, the internal the performance support assessment team management structure included with the recommended building teams, the recommendation areas, and is included with the figure 6. Alright, Figure 6 is a product support assessment team structure. The approach and methodology. The product support assessment team effort was divided into 3 support phases: discovery, assessment, product, the building, implementation, ramp on, the timeline, primary activities, key milestones, and highlighted Figure 7 to discuss below. You see the steering group with the working group with the OSA costs, analytical, human capabilities, metrics, weapon system, data governance, supply operational strategy, industrial integration, and product support business model on the outside. This is Figure 7 of the Performance Support Assessment Team project plan with the key objectives and milestones. It shows the months from October 8th to the 2008 to 9, the discovery and assessment with the Product Support Assessment Team, working group, and recommendation teams. The overall process emerging requirements, the facilitated work group discussion over the as-is environment, 20 topical examinations, strategic policies and process, resource, the fact-based weapon system program analysis, product, and then a good portion of the year goes to product and building, developing recommendation, implementing the product with the product support, the PSDM, PSBM, which is the Facilitated Working Group Recommendation Building Team discussion to be environmental development of the product support mission support business model. Drafting assessment and the implementation ramp is finally implementation action, finalizing written report, finalizing buying of the in through the executive new administrative without briefs, integrated product teams. Discovery assessment. The key focus of the 4-month discovery assessment phase is the first conducted with the as-is assessment of the current product of the support environment with creative vision and the guiding of the principles of the product support going forward. To conduct as-is assessment of the later the performance support assessment team of the WG examined approximately 20 product of the works product supported topics which were eventually grouped into the investigative or 8 broader topics: milestone reviews, end-to-end alignment, the cross-service alignment, the customer-facing metrics, the performance outcomes, internally facing metrics, performance outcomes, business case analysis, legislative and environmental partnership and strategy. The method used for the examining of these topics was to approach them from 4 different investigative perspectives. Policy is adequate to successfully drive the desired but the behavior of the total life cycle product, the cost. Strategy is the use of the consistent, understandable, executable strategy for the life cycle cost. Product study, strategy, support. Processes are process efficient with the aligned, enable the accurate with a consistent life with the cycle product support. Resources are resources people skills and funding with the data and IT training adequate with the appropriate to conduct with support effective life cycle product support. The larger WG of the 45 members broken into 4 sub-teams is deconstructed each topic in these ways, deriving both qualitative and quantitative current state of the assessment of the 8 topics. Result of the assessment of validated with the resource of the area with the most significant gaps in terms of the applicability to meet the life cycle product of the support requirements of current maturity. There was a consensus among with the performance support assessment team members that the current product of the support strategies have always been effectively resourced, and for example the quantitative effectiveness of a financial resource because of the measures is based on a lack of the consistent unusable data. For the lack of consistent unusable data is further caused by the failure to adequate data, inconsistent report, a lack of data documentation requirements. Understanding the current state of the product support provided with the baseline of the performance support assessment team to be established with the vision guiding principles of the product support going forward. These are illustrated in Figure 8. All right, your life cycle of the product support vision and guideline principles. Starting in with the warfighter's objectives on the pentagonal side. Inside the Pentagon, with the set of align and synchronize operational acquisition, sustainment commodities was together with deliver and required for the affordable warfighter outcomes. Starting from the 11 o'clock era. Or 12 o'clock, demonstrate the enforced life cycle focus, build mutual beneficial partners, incentive accountability for performance, enterprising means of enterprise, and joint means of joint. Start and end warfighter objectives. The performance support objective assessment work. WG developed the four future products supported the vision emphasized with the line synchronized with the operational acquisition statement communities working together to deliver the required affordable warfighter outcomes, guideline principles collecting and channeled with the next generation product support actions with the cohesive action of the plan to support the vision set of the guidelines and support with the set of the implementation guidelines for cohesive and coordinated with the action. During the discovering the assessment phase of the concurrent with the analysis performed by the WG, the performance support assessment team, the analysis conducted a weapon system data assessment after the effort for the game better and understanding of which of the product support strategies lead to the improved readiness to which practices better to support the warfighter in terms of the material availability for the per sustainment dollars spent, the service provided with the data and analytical insight for the 34 weapon systems. Product build. During the 5 months of the product build phase of the work, WG involved with the purpose with the structure for an assessment body, the recommendation body to accomplish its role of the reconstructed WG, assess the gaps and documented with the discovery assessment phase and the development recommendation to close those gaps. Initially, the WG identified with 100 recommendation for the improving lifecycle products to support the steering group. After reviewing the initial recommendations directed with the WG developing a small number of the focus overarching recommendation in response to the WG identified 8 priorities. Recommendation areas to work on to go further analysis to determine the root of the cause of the probable develop tangible actions to resolve in issues that achieve the the transformation objectives. These areas were product support, business model, industrial integration strategy, supply chain operational strategy, governance metrics, O&S, and analytical tools, and human capital strategy. To facilitate the deep analysis of the recommendation area, the performance support assessment team members of the product with the support SMNEs formed a 4 to 8 person recommendation building teams. As weapon system performance of the cost data of the recommended building teams established the formally elicit service stakeholder participation, providing weapon system data and interpreting analytical findings. The recommendation outlined in this report were derived by the recommended building teams the root of the cause analysis, which caused an end-to-end assessment of the top 8 priorities recommendation areas with the root of the cause analysis and summarized below. The root of the cause analysis: continued reliance on the transaction system and the process. Many of the existing systems of the process have been designed with the transactional logistics current system of the process do not provide with the necessary data the functional to manage outcome-based assignment. As a result, the Department of Defense lacks the capability to accurately assess the cost of the benefits of various of the products and support strategies. For the Department of Defense has difficulty conforming the cost benefits to the satisfaction of independent overseers. And inadequate human capital. Government and human capital resources has been too slow to develop the knowledge and skills necessary to plan and implement integrated management complex outcome-based product support strategies. While there are examples of very good product as in the area, the Department of Defense lacks an adequate across the broad board foundation of the qualified sustainment managers equal to the product support change. Industrial benefiting the commercial sector experience with exhibited better capabilities in regard. Also, over the last 2 decades, the department has outsourced in product support functions, supply chain management, technical data management, configuration management, and sustaining engineering, while high levels of product support expertise do exists. It is often functionally focused, which matches the organizational culture of many of the defense and logistics organizations. Need for smart managers and smart buyers. There is a need for better informed customers that can perform in either a sufficient manager of the product or the support of the smart buyers of the product support services, and encouraging more responsible suppliers. In addition, warfighters are often too more organizationally removed from both the existing product support communities, leading to the product support solutions that neither responsive nor cost effective enough of affordability, changing operational priorities. Recommendations are derived from the root cause analysis of major product support areas. In the summary, there are these root causes are antiquated system processes, inadequate human capital need for the smart buyers, organizational challenges, and the lack of shared goals. Organizational challenges. There are significantly organizational challenges associated with improving the product support. These challenges reflect an alignment gap from the life cycle concept through the disposal perspective, the joint with the cross-service, cross-agency perspective, the government industrial perspective. Currently, the Department of Organizational Governance Structure has been able to fully embrace the performance-based outcome and orientated with the opportunity or a holistic, closed-loop process for the improved enterprise decision-making. At the program level, the program managers have not properly been equipped to fully assume the execute of the total life of the cycle, management responsibility, organic product of the support structure that organized at the functional basis, supply, maintenance, and engineering, off the precluding decision-making based on the integrated view of the relevant product of the support elements, and to the effective trade-off among those elements to achieve the optimum outcome. The lack of shared goals. The functionally stovepipes that exist between the acquisition and sustainment communities are ultimately rooted in organizational that are funded with this separately and lack incentive for the shared goals, financial transparency. In addition, with the current guidance for the vision of the performance-based logistics has not been proliferated across the logistic community. Their unique different product support strategies, interpretations of performance and outcome-based approaches across the DOD Department of Defense. The implementation ramp-off. The final phase of the effort of the implementation ramp-off involved with the team consensus of the product support recommendation, refining of the written report at a high level of the first draft implementation plan for the reconstruction building team continue the service of the primary vehicle for the achieving the project, will the WG serving the review of the performance of the rebuilding team generated products. In future, the rebuilding team will involve an integrated products teams informed to drive the initiative recommended in these reports of realization. Chapter 3, Next Generation Business Model Lifecycle Product Support.